You're listening to Inside IASB, a podcast series dedicated to informing and encouraging Illinois School Board members. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the podcast. My name is Isaac Warren. I'm the Assistant Director of Digital Communications at the Illinois Association of School Boards. And with me today, I have Carla Bolt in our Meetings Management Office.
Hi, I'm the Director of Meetings Management. I've been with the association this is my 35th year with the association, and currently I'm the longest serving staff member.
That's really impressive. So you said 33?
35.
35. Okay.
35. This is my 35th year.
So that's 35 years ago was 1980?
88.
1988. Okay. So let's paint this scene. What was it like, I guess, 1980? Because this is before I was born, so.
Well, I'm not from Illinois originally. I'm originally from Ohio, but my husband was an air traffic controller in the Marine Corps, and he got to select a region where he could apply for a job and happened to get selected for Illinois. So that's how we ended up in Illinois. So we moved here on June 20th, and I immediately started applying for jobs, and I started here on June 28th.
Wow.
So it was a really quick whirlwind.
Yeah, I bet. Did you come in here with meetings management?
No, I did not.
Okay.
I came in as a secretary for the policy department.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Yeah, I worked in the policy department for 1 year, and then I transferred over to field services.
Gotcha. And what was it like working in field services?
Field services I loved because I got to actually speak to our members, assist our members, answer their questions, or direct them to where they needed to go. And I had a variety of duties. I love multitasking, so I got to work on superintendent searches. I got to work on workshops, division meetings, and so forth. So, yeah.
Gotcha. It's like the perfect person then to be in meetings management, you know?
It was a direct link. It helped me to do the job that I'm currently doing now for all the multitasking and the various activities and members that I spoke with.
Yeah. And for our members who might not be familiar, you're kind of like the person doing everything in the background of conference. So could you just describe what you do? Or maybe it might be easier to describe what you don't do at conference.
Okay, so basically, I handle all of our staff has a piece of conference. They do various projects or various events at conference, but I do all the logistics of conference. I handle all the contracting. I search out hotels and I decide what hotels are closest to our events, so I know to contract them. We need an X amount of number of hotel rooms for our event, so I have to make sure that we have 5,000 hotel rooms in our block to accommodate our members that want to come to conference. And then I have to prepare all these documents that go to the hotels that give them the logistics by day, time, and hour of what needs to be done and where it needs to be done, how the room needs to be set, what audio visual is requested by each of these events. So I put this into what I call a resume. I send that off to the hotel. They implement it into their system.
Wow, that's just a lot of moving parts, it sounds like.
Yeah, that's a good overview, but it's a lot more involved, of course.
Sure.
But that's the gist of it all, is handling all the logistics of every event on site.
So let's talk about the first conference you managed. What year was that then?
That would have been, that I managed was in 2014.
Okay.
I got this role in 2014 when Pat Collar, who had been with the association 50 years, she had it, and then she retired, and then I was offered the position. So
gotcha. Did she pass down a lot of information to you?
She did. I was able to, in my role when I worked for the executive director, I was Dr. Johnson's administrative assistant. I worked closely with her with the board of directors in planning meetings and so forth. And so I got to work closely with her, and I ended up assisting her with various projects that she was working on as well. So we had already had a close network of what we needed to do for the association, and we worked together, and I was able to assist her and then see what she was doing for her role that she was in charge of.
Okay, so you weren't thrown in totally blind, all right, manage conference.
No. I had a very, very good overview.
That's really good to hear.
Yes.
So on the first year, did you pretty much keep it as business as usual, where you didn't try to change too much, or did you start putting your own spin on it pretty early on?
No, I already had some ideas because people had given me suggestions of what needed to change. And but the first year I wanted to run it to see it from her chair because I was an attendee or a worker on site. So I didn't really know all the background stuff. So I wanted to run it as she had done it the first year and then start making changes. I already had a small list anyhow, but once I got into it, it was way more involved than what I realized. She made it look so easy. It was not easy on site. Yeah. There's a lot of work on site from her position. So
yeah, sure sounds like it. What was the first conference you attended? So I'm guessing since you're not an Illinois native, you probably weren't familiar with the joint annual conference coming into it.
Never heard of it. Didn't know anything about it. Like I said, I started late June, so they were already in the middle of conference, and conferences in November. So I just show up the first year. Being an employee with the association, that was a requirement when I got hired that you had to attend conference. And I'm like, of course I'll go to the city of Chicago, no problem.
Yeah.
And so I worked the registration desk my first year. And that was a little exciting. We did set up on Thursday, and I'm like, oh, this is not too bad. We got it all organized. This is going to work fine. And then Friday, opening day, hundreds of people are standing in front of you and needing help. And then the funny thing was, it took me till the end of the day on that day to realize there were 2 towers in the Hyatt Regency.
Oh, yeah.
Because people were asking for directions. I'm like, where is that at? So I'm looking in the books, looking at the maps and stuff. And then I finally connected that there were 2 towers at the Hyatt.
Oh, I can totally sympathize. I came into the association in July. So they were in the middle of planning a conference in 2019. And so when I go to conference, I'm wearing my ISB badge. Everyone assumes I know where I'm going. I'm like, hey, I'm just as lost as you are. West Tower, excuse me.
What is that?
Yeah. Well, thinking back about the first time you've attended conference and the one we just had this last month, what were the biggest differences between the two, would you say?
The main difference is technology. We had very, very limited technology back in 1988. And every year for probably 10 years, whatever software they were using at that time crashed every year on site.
Oh, man.
So one of my fondest memories on site is one year the software crashed again. Well, the exhibitor badges were always printed on site, about 1,200 of them. And the software broke down. We couldn't get it up working. The vendor couldn't get it up working. So we rented typewriters with these big elements to type badges so you could read the names and everything. And we were in the exhibit show floor with our executive director typing badges and distributing them to all the exhibit booths prior to opening day.
So you had to hand type every single one.
Hand type every one. And it was all hands on deck. All staff stayed up till 11:30 that night till we got the job done. And our members came in the next day not knowing anything that our software had crashed and we were manually doing everything.
Wow. And that's the goal, right? That's as an association, we're to make it as seamless as possible for our members.
Absolutely. And staff came together. We worked as a team. We got the job done. Our members had no clue.
Absolutely. Yeah, there you go. And that just really speaks to the strengths of ISB as like we all are like, when it comes to conference, we're all on the same page. I mean, we know it's go time and we got to do whatever it takes to get a good event off the ground.
That's right. Our members pay a lot of money to attend our event and we want them to have a great experience on site.
Absolutely. What has been largely unchanged over the years compared to the first time you went to conference and this last one?
Unchanged, the main thing for me that stands out is our members' desire to attend. I am amazed at how our attendance seems to only continue to grow. It's like there's no big 300, 400, 500 people dropping off every year. So it's like, our event has lots of value for our members. So then from a staff perspective, it's like, you know that our members want to attend this event. So it's like, what can we do to make it better? So I think all of our staff approach it from the desire of improving and enhancing every year for our members so that they have a great experience when they arrive.
Yeah. And that was something that really struck me when I first started working here was the immediate, thanks for coming to conference. What did you like and what do we need to change? And it's like, the association is just so open to making it mold towards what our members want to have, because we don't want to put on an event where it's like, this is what we want, not necessarily what our members want. We wanted to make sure our members are getting like the best bang for their buck. And
absolutely,
I think every single year, it's just been knocked out of the park every time.
Oh, good.
It's really awesome.
Good.
How about talking about technologies that have changed a lot? How has the technology changed that has impacted your work specifically in the planning and management of conference?
Okay, so I took this job in 2014. At that time, we were still collecting registration forms from all of our members and housing forms from all of our members. And the registration forms were manually entered by our business office. We basically have one individual who does it all, and she's a wizard at entering all that stuff super fast. So we're very appreciative of Camille. But the housing forms, they would collect them all, and probably in early August, they would take those up to the hotels manually. Hand them stacks of envelopes of all these housing forms. The hotel staff had to hire extra staff to manually enter all of those. Wow. So it was crazy. So of course, when I took over, all the hotels are saying, Carla, we need Excel spreadsheets. We need Excel spreadsheets that we can upload. I'm like, I'm already on board with that. We can do that. It's going to be more work and effort on our part because our technology wasn't quite there to do that because we weren't registering online. And I'm like, we will manually enter that into an Excel spreadsheet because I wanted more accurate, because when you're dealing with pencil and paper, there's more room for error. We didn't want our members to come to the city of Chicago and not have a hotel room because somebody entered something wrong.
For sure.
So that was one of my first tasks, was to get everything implemented into Excel spreadsheets for the hotels, which I did the very next year.
Awesome.
Yes. I felt their pain and knew that it needed to be done. So
that's really cool. And it does really show how, as an association, we're really trying to keep in step with new technologies. And if there's anything that makes our work more efficient, and the cost is that our members have a more efficient experience just behind the scenes of how it's managed, I mean, that's always a win for everyone, right?
Absolutely it is.
So you've kind of shared a couple stories so far. Do you have any really fond stories, like a favorite memory of a conference that you've attended?
I mentioned about us doing the badges on site, and our executive director was down there. To me, that's probably the most memorable one, because I was just in awe, because I was still a fairly new employee. And I was like, our executive director's down here. Why is our executive director down here helping us? Well, it was all hands on deck, and our executive director is part of the team, and he was down there assisting us. So I think that's probably my most favorite memory from conference.
It's really good. That's a really good one.
Yeah.
I like that. What was I guess I'm sure like every year there's just like good takeaways, lessons learned. Was there one that stuck out to you that was maybe a bit more painful to learn, or more of a, that was a hard lesson learned, but I'm glad I learned it?
I would probably have to say that would be related to my general session speakers. Some of my speakers are very polished, very professional. They come in, they know what they need to do. They do their sound check and they do their spiel. But then every once in a while, I'll get one speaker that is a lot more high maintenance than what I realized coming in. I have pre-meetings and calls with them to review everything. And I thought I had checked all my boxes of what I needed to know. But with this one speaker, I did not. And he took me for a curve on site. But we worked through it. Our members didn't know anything about it. That was a lesson learned. A lot of these specific requests matter. And there's a reason why they want to know. Because when you're coming in, you need to know that everything's going to be set as you request it. Like some speakers need confidence monitors. Some do not. Some prefer the lapel mics versus the handheld. And the lapel mics will only work depending on what outfit you're wearing. Like my speaker this year had a long tunic that she was wearing. So we had to put the lapel mic on in a different way. Well, of course, most of my audiovisual guys are all guys. So I couldn't have a man doing her lapel mic. So I had to come down and help her with that. So all those details matter. As from a member's experience, they don't see that, nor should they. Right. But that's our staff's responsibility to make sure all those details are taken care of and responded to in a timely manner. So
it sounds like, just us talking here, it sounds like this type of job requires a very specific type of personality, a very detail oriented. What would you say would you attribute to this in your life, or what has made you such a detail oriented person?
I would say being a secretary. Being a secretary, you're responsible for a lot of tasks for your supervisor. And some supervisors, you're just doing what they tell you. When you serve as an administrative assistant, you're doing a lot more than what your bosses are telling you. You're being aware of the schedule of what tasks needs to be done, what folders need to be put together. So I think that has brought me to where I am. And I've only enhanced my skills the longer that I've worked in these fields. So
How do you, so just with all the busyness going on, what do you do to have downtime? How do you relax from a day of like, oh, right, conference is done?
Well, my husband and I have a 3-wheel motorcycle. It's called a Can-Am.
Wow, okay.
So we try to ride that off on country roads on the weekends and so forth. So that's very relaxing for us.
Wow. That's awesome.
Yeah,
That's
we
really
love
cool.
doing that. And usually if I'm out because we have a group called our Old Goats group, which is our former past presidents and executive directors. So as we're driving around Illinois, if I'm in one of my Old Goats towns, I will call them up and say, hey, are you around? I'll stop by and say hi.
Oh, cool.
So we did that, when was this? 4 or 5 years ago with Bud Thompson.
Mm-hmm.
And so we went to say hi to Bud because Bud and I will correspond. He's gone now. But him and I would correspond, and he was a art teacher and he taught art. So he did murals in his town. So he goes, get off your motorcycle. Come on, I'm going to give you a tour and show you all my murals. So he took us around and we had the best time with him. So I love stopping in and saying hi to our former members.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Taking it back to conference, what is something that you are particularly proud of as an achievement or an accomplishment?
Well, getting all the housing into Excel spreadsheets, that was huge. I mean, the hotels almost kissed my shoes because they're like, oh my goodness, Carla, we need this so much. So yes, just constantly improving our technology is my big push around here, because where we have technology now and it works, it does great for our members. We've taken our registration process where they used to drive all these forms and registration and housing forms into us to where now we register 71% of our total attendance in the month of June. Wow. And that's huge. That's just huge.
That's huge.
That's huge. And that shows us the value that our members want to come. And every school district has a favorite hotel. And our hotel is based on a date time stamp when you register. So we assign everybody according to when people register, because that's the fairest way we can do that. Mm-hmm. So all of our members want to register really quick to make sure they get their proper hotel that they want to stay in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then Natalie, who runs our exhibit show and manages all the registration and housing, she is so awesome at trying to accommodate our members. Like if one of our hotel blocks is full and a hotel says, I really need to be at the Swiss, I'll need to be at the Swiss. She'll call the Swiss hotel to see if they can give us a few more rooms to accommodate the school district. And we tell the hotel, we're like, this school district loves staying at your hotel. They would really rather stay there than anywhere else. The hotel almost 99% of the time will say, yes, we'll give you additional rooms to help them out.
Absolutely.
Because the hotel loves to hear that people want to stay at their hotel.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's a benefit to them, it's a benefit to us, and it's a benefit to our members. Cool. So we love working to help our members with all the requests that they give us for conference. So we do our best.
It always feels good to know that we can make a member's experience at conference that much easier and better. And just on, because it's going to affect what they bring back to their district.
Right.
And we want to make sure that what they're bringing back to the district has glowing reviews so that they can come back next year and hopefully more people.
And the same goes for like our Huba app that we had this year. Mm-hmm. That was so popular this year with our members. I expected about 40% of our members to connect to it because we're still a little behind with our members on technology. Mm-hmm. We had over 60% connected on our Huba app and interacted. They were doing meetups, sharing information. So I am excited to enhance that for next year as well.
What has kept you at ISB all these years and every year been more willing to work at conference? Or what drives and motivates you here?
Well, actually, I just love the work. I love the work that I've done. I worked in the policy department. I worked in field services department. I worked for our executive director, Dr. Michael Johnson. He hired me as his administrative assistant. And then I've had the opportunity to apply for this job. And now I'm in this department. So the variety of opportunities that you can do here, there's no limits here at what you can do. You just have to work hard and learn as much as you can about our association. And then these opportunities are here for you to take advantage of if you so wish.
Yeah.
So I guess what has kept me here is the association, my coworkers, the team around here, how the associations run, knowing that we are supporting all the school districts in the state of Illinois, which in effect supports every student in Illinois. That is huge. That's a huge thing to hang around your neck and say, we're supporting the students of Illinois. Mm-hmm. I mean, it is just huge. But my coworkers, I enjoy working with my coworkers. We work together as a team. If somebody needs help, people stops what they're doing, they go help them. And just the variety of opportunities that are available here. I did not expect to be here this long. I really did not. But here I am 35 years later.
Yeah. Well, we're glad you're here because honestly, it's just knowing that we have such a reliable person working behind the scenes makes our jobs at ISB that much easier.
Well, I take my job very seriously, and I work very hard to negotiate the lowest possible rates with all the various groups. Like I work with all the hotels, I work with all the unions in Chicago. A lot of our members aren't even aware of that, but I negotiate their labor rates as well.
Yeah.
And just knowing that I'm able to do that to keep that at a reasonable price, knowing Chicago is very expensive anyhow, but just to keep our prices and our hotel rates as low as possible, I take great pride in that.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's something that's huge for our members, I'm sure.
Yes.
Yeah. My last question for you today is if there's one thing you would like our members to be able to take away every year from conference, what would that be? I
would want them to take away their experience. Their experience meaning that who did you connect with? Did you connect with somebody that wasn't even close to your own home school district, and to have that conversation to understand where a rural school district is coming from versus a big city school district. We get so many calls from members saying, I connected with a urban school district and this was amazing. I had no idea they were doing this, this, and this. And then they were excited to learn what we were doing in our little small school district. It's for our members to realize that no matter what the size of your school district, you're all valuable. You're all in it together. You're doing the same thing, same work, and the same process for our students in Illinois, that you want them all to have the same opportunities. So I love that they can make those connections and take that home and then share it with the rest of their district.
That's awesome. Well, Carla, I really appreciate you coming down and talking about conference and your work that you do at ISB. It's really cool to take a peek behind the curtain and know all the goings on that happens behind the scenes at conference.
Well, I thank you very much. This has been very fun to do.
Thank you for listening to the podcast. And thank you for your dedicated volunteer service to public education. If you'd like to stay up to date with future episodes, please consider following us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or YouTube Music. Have a comment or question? We welcome listener feedback and invite you to leave us a voicemail via the link in the description or send us a voicemail at communications@iasb.com. Thanks.